You have never owned a single song on your phone. Not one. Every beat, every melody, every lyric you have listened to in the last decade belongs to someone else, sitting on a server you will never see, in a building you will never visit, controlled by a company that could pull the plug tomorrow morning before you finish your coffee. And the worst part? You paid for this, monthly, like rent on air. But this story is not really about music. Music is just the bait. This is about something much bigger, much older, and much darker. This is about how an entire generation was quietly convinced to trade ownership for access, to swap permanence for convenience, and to hand over the keys to their entire lives, their memories, their documents, their identities, to corporations who wrote the terms of the deal in language no human being was ever meant to read. And if you think this started with the internet, you are wrong. This con has roots that stretch back almost 100 years. Let me paint you a picture. It is 2 a.m. A woman in Chicago, 34 years old, graphic designer, decent income, wakes up to a notification on her phone. Her cloud storage provider has updated its terms of service. She does not read it. Nobody reads it. She rolls over and goes back to sleep. What she does not know is that buried on page 47 of that update is a clause that gives the company the right to scan every file she has ever uploaded, every photo of her kids, every draft of every contract she has ever signed, every journal entry she typed at midnight when she could not sleep. She does not own any of it. Not really. She is renting a locker in someone else's building, and the landlord just changed the locks. But the door still opens when she taps her screen, so she never notices. That is the trick. The door still opens. You just do not hold the key anymore. Now, zoom out. There are over 4 billion people using cloud storage right now. 4 billion. That is more than half the planet, uploading photos, saving documents, backing up their phones, trusting that their memories will be there when they need them. And the companies holding all of that data, the Googles, the Apples, the Amazons, the Microsofts, they are not charities. They are not public utilities. They are publicly traded corporations with shareholders and quarterly earnings calls and a fiduciary duty to extract maximum value from every user. You are not the customer. You are the product. You have heard that line before, but have you really stopped to think about what it means when the product is your entire life? Think about what you have uploaded in the last 5 years. Tax returns, medical records, love letters, the last voicemail your grandmother left before she died, a scan of your birth certificate, your children's first steps, captured on video and automatically backed up to a server farm in Virginia or Oregon or somewhere in Finland. You did not choose where it went. You did not choose who guards it. You clicked agree and moved on with your day. And every single one of those files exists at the pleasure of a corporation. If Google decides tomorrow that your account violated some vaguely worded community guideline, everything vanishes. Not into a trash can, into nothing. And the appeals process? Good luck. You will be talking to a bot, filling out a form, screaming into a void that was designed to absorb sound and return silence. This is not a hypothetical. This has happened. It happens every single day. People lose access to years of their lives because an algorithm flagged something. A parent takes a photo of their sick child at bath time to send to a pediatrician, and the system flags it as something else entirely. Account locked, photos gone, emails gone, documents gone. Years of digital life erased by a machine that has no concept of context, no understanding of nuance, no idea what a mother's worry looks like. And there is no courtroom. There is no judge. There is no appeal that reaches a human being who looks you in the eye and says, "I understand." So how did we get here? How did billions of people willingly walk into a trap that their grandparents would have seen from a mile away? To answer that, you have to go back, way back, before the cloud, before the internet, before computers. You have to go to the 1930s, to the golden age of American industry, when a group of very smart men figured out something that would change the world forever. They figured out that you could make more money renting things than selling them. In 1930, the Gillette razor company was already decades into what business historians would later call the razor and blades model. King Gillette himself had figured it out at the turn of the century. You sell the razor handle cheap, practically give it away, and then you charge for the blades. The handle is worthless without the blades. The blades are worthless without the handle, but the blades run out. They always run out. So the customer comes back, again and again, not because they want to, but because they have to. The handle in their hand is a leash. It looks like a tool, but it functions like a trap. And Gillette did not just sell razors. He sold a philosophy, a way of doing business that said, do not give people something they can keep forever. Give them something that expires, something that needs to be fed. By the 1950s, this idea had metastasized. It spread from razors to cars, from cars to appliances, from appliances to everything. The term was planned obsolescence, and it was not a conspiracy theory. It was a publicly discussed, openly celebrated business strategy. In 1954, the industrial designer Brooks Stevens gave a speech where he defined planned obsolescence as instilling in the buyer the desire to own something a little newer, a little better, a little sooner than is necessary. Notice the language. Instilling the desire, not meeting a need, creating one, manufacturing dissatisfaction, making you feel like what you have is not enough, even when it works perfectly fine. Your refrigerator runs great, but the new one has a water dispenser on the door. Your car drives fine, but the new model has fins on the back. It is not about function. It is about feeling. And feeling is something you can engineer. General Motors understood this better than anyone. In the 1920s and 30s, while Henry Ford was still insisting that the Model T was all anyone would ever need, Alfred Sloan at GM was building a completely different machine. Not a better car, a better system. Sloan introduced the annual model change. Every year, a new body style. Every year, new colors. Every year, the subtle, poisonous message that last year's car, the one sitting in your driveway that runs perfectly well, was now somehow embarrassing, outdated, a relic. Sloan did not sell transportation. He sold status anxiety. And it worked. By the late 1930s, Ford was hemorrhaging market share, and GM was the largest corporation on earth. The lesson was clear. Do not build something that lasts. Build something that makes people want the next one. Now hold that thought. Keep that lesson in your back pocket. Because everything that happened in Silicon Valley over the next 70 years is just a digital remix of Alfred Sloan's playbook. Different product. Same psychology. Different century. Same hustle. Fast forward to the 1990s. The personal computer revolution has put a beige box on every desk in America. And those early PCs had something that feels almost quaint now. They had hard drives. Physical, spinning, clicking hard drives where you stored your files. Your stuff lived on your machine, in your house, under your control. If the company that made your word processor went bankrupt, you still had your documents. If Microsoft changed their terms of service, too bad. Your files were already on your disk. You owned them the way you owned a book on your shelf or a record in your cabinet. They were yours. You could touch the machine they lived on. But that was a problem for the companies. See, when you own something outright, the transaction ends. You pay once, you walk away, and the company has to go find another customer. There is no recurring revenue. There is no subscription. There is no monthly drip of cash from your bank account into theirs. And on Wall Street, recurring revenue is the holy grail. It is the metric that makes stock prices climb. It is the number that makes investors salivate. A company that sells you something once is valued at 1 multiple. A company that charges you every month forever is valued at 10 times that. The math is simple, and the math does not care about your photo album. So the shift began. It started slowly, almost imperceptibly. In the early 2000s, a few companies started offering online storage. The pitch was beautiful in its simplicity. Why worry about hard drive crashes? Why carry a USB stick? Just put your files in the cloud. We will keep them safe. We will make them accessible from anywhere. And for the first few gigabytes, it is free. Free. That word again. The same word the drug dealer uses on the corner. The first taste is free. Because they know. They know that once your files are up there, once your workflow depends on it, once your memories live on their servers, you are not leaving. The switching cost is not measured in dollars. It is measured in the hours it would take to download and reorganize your entire digital life. And nobody has those hours. So you stay, you pay, and the price goes up a little bit every year, just like the blades. Let us talk about what the cloud actually is, because the word itself is a masterpiece of marketing. The cloud. It sounds ethereal, weightless, like your data is floating in some peaceful digital sky. It is not. The cloud is a warehouse. Multiple warehouses, actually. Massive, windowless buildings full of humming servers, burning electricity at a rate that would make your head spin. These data centers consume roughly 1% of the entire world's electricity. 1% of all the power generated on Earth, just to keep your selfies and spreadsheets accessible at the tap of a finger. There is nothing light about it. There is nothing airy. It is steel and copper and silicon and heat. Lots of heat. These facilities need cooling systems that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The cloud is one of the most physically intensive industries on the planet, and they named it after something you cannot touch. That is not an accident. That is branding. And inside these warehouses, your data sits on drives that you will never see, maintained by technicians you will never meet, governed by terms of service that can change without notice. Think about what that means. In the physical world, if you put your belongings in a storage unit and the company changes the rules, you still have a padlock. You still have a lease. You still have legal protections that were built up over centuries of property law. In the cloud, you have a checkbox. You have a 40,000-word document that you scrolled past in 2 seconds. You have a digital handshake with a corporation that has an army of lawyers, and you have your phone. Here's where it gets truly dark. The cloud is not just about storage. It is about dependency. Once your files are in the cloud, your software follows. Remember when you used to buy Microsoft Office? You would go to a store, pick up a box, take out a CD, install it on your computer, and it was yours forever. That version of Word would work until the hardware died. Now it is Microsoft 365, a subscription. You pay every month, or you lose access to your own tools. Adobe did the same thing. Photoshop used to be something you bought. Now it is Creative Cloud. You rent it, stop paying, and you cannot open your own project files. The formats are proprietary. The ecosystem is closed. Your creative work is held hostage by a monthly fee, and if you fall on hard times, if you lose your job, if you get sick, the software you used to create does not care. It just locks the door. And this model is spreading everywhere. Your car. New vehicles from certain manufacturers now charge a monthly subscription for heated seats. The hardware is already in the car. The wires are there. The heating elements are installed, but the software locks them out until you pay. You bought the car, you own the metal, but you do not own the function. It is Gillette's razor all over again, except now the blade is a line of code and the handle is a $50,000 vehicle. How did we let this happen? How did we sleepwalk into a world where you can buy something and still not own it? The answer is convenience, the most powerful narcotic in modern capitalism. Convenience is the reason you use the same password for everything, even though you know better. Convenience is the reason you let your phone track your location, because turning it off is 3 menus deep in settings. Convenience is the reason you did not download those photos to an external drive when you had the chance. Because it was easier to trust the cloud, because it was seamless, because it just worked. And every time something just works, you should ask yourself, at whose expense? Because convenience always has a cost. You just do not always see the invoice. Let me tell you about a man named Brewster Kahle. In 1996, while most of Silicon Valley was figuring out how to monetize the internet, Kahle was doing something strange. He was trying to save it. He founded the Internet Archive, a nonprofit digital library in San Francisco, housed in a building that used to be a church. And Kahle's mission was radical in its simplicity. He wanted to create a copy of the entire internet. Every web page, every article, every piece of digital culture, preserved and accessible to anyone, for free, forever. His team built the Wayback Machine, a tool that has since saved over 800 billion web pages. Why? Because Kahle understood something that most people did not. Digital is not permanent. A web page that exists today can be gone tomorrow. A company that hosts your blog can shut down. A government can scrub an inconvenient report from its website overnight. Without someone actively preserving the record, digital history evaporates. It does not decay slowly like paper in a library. It blinks out of existence, like it was never there at all. Kahle's building tells you everything you need to know. It is a former church. There is something almost spiritual about his project. While the tech giants were building cathedrals of extraction, he was building an ark. And the irony is thick enough to choke on. The industry that promised to make information free and eternal has actually made it more fragile and more controlled than at any point in human history. A book from the 15th century, printed on a Gutenberg press, is still readable today. A file saved on a floppy disk from 1995? Good luck finding a machine that can read it. A MySpace page from 2005? Gone. A Vine video from 2013? Gone. The digital world does not age. It simply disappears. This is the great paradox of our time. We have more storage capacity than any civilization in history, and we own less of our own information than a medieval peasant with a handwritten Bible. That peasant's book could survive a fire if it was lucky, survive a flood if it was on high ground, survive a war if it was hidden well. Your entire digital life can be erased by a server migration gone wrong, or a billing dispute, or a terms of service update that you never read because nobody reads them. Nobody. Researchers have calculated that it would take the average person approximately 76 working days to read all the privacy policies they encounter in a single year. 76 days. That is more than 3 months of doing nothing but reading legal documents. So we do not read them. We cannot read them. And that is by design. The companies know. They know you will not read. They know you will click accept. They know you will trade your sovereignty for convenience. And they have built an entire economy on that knowledge. Cloud storage revenue globally is projected to exceed $150 billion annually within the next few years. $150 billion. That is not the cost of the servers. That is not the cost of the electricity. That is the premium that billions of people pay for the privilege of not having to think about where their stuff is. We have outsourced our memory to corporations and called it progress. So what do? How do you escape a system that is designed to be inescapable? The first step is the hardest one, and it is not technical. It is psychological. You have to break the spell of convenience. You have to accept that the easy way is often the expensive way, and that the true cost is measured not in dollars, but in control. Start small. Buy an external hard drive. Not a fancy one, not a networked one that connects to some company's app. A plain, simple, bus-powered hard drive that plugs into your computer and stores files locally. Cost? Maybe $50 or $60. Lifespan? A decade, if you treat it right. And everything on it is yours, not rented, not licensed, not subject to terms of service. Yours. Then go further. Download your photos from the cloud. All of them. Google offers a takeout tool. Apple lets you request your data. It is tedious. It takes time. But at the end of it, you have a copy of your memories that no algorithm can flag, no corporation can delete, no subscription can hold hostage. Put them on that external drive. Then make a second copy. Put that one in a fireproof safe or at a family member's house. 2 copies, 2 locations. It is what archivists have done for centuries. It is not glamorous. It is not seamless. It does not just work, but it works. Consider your software. Do you need the subscription? LibreOffice is free, open source, and reads almost every document format. GIMP is a free alternative to Photoshop. There are open source alternatives to almost every subscription tool you use, and they live on your machine, under your control. They do not phone home. They do not check your subscription status. They do not lock you out. But the real shift is deeper than tools and tactics. It is about changing how you think about ownership in a digital age. We have been trained to value access over possession. The pitch is always the same. Why own when you can stream? Why buy when you can subscribe? Why store when you can upload? And the answer is simple. Because what you do not own can be taken away. What you stream can be unstreamed. What you subscribe to can be unsubscribed. What you upload can be deleted by someone who is not you. There is a Japanese concept called wabi-sabi, and it is roughly the idea that beauty lives in impermanence and imperfection. A cracked teacup is more meaningful than a perfect one because the crack tells a story. The chip on the rim is a memory. The stain on the clay is evidence of use, of life, of time. Your grandmother's photo album, the physical one, the one with the sticky pages and the faded Polaroids, is wabi-sabi. It is imperfect. Some photos are blurry, some are yellowed, some have fingerprints on them. But you can hold it. You can smell the old paper. You can turn the pages and feel the weight of the years. No corporation controls it. No algorithm curates it. No subscription is required. The cloud promises perfection. Every photo backed up, organized by date, searchable by face recognition, and it delivers on that promise. But perfection has a price, and the price is that someone else holds the keys. The cloud gives you a pristine museum of your own life and then charges you admission. I am not telling you to go off the grid. I am not telling you to smash your phone or delete your accounts. I live in this world too. I use these tools. We all do. What I am telling you is to understand the deal. Know what you are trading and who you are trading with. Keep copies of what matters. Own the things that define you. Do not let your identity live in a rented room. Because here is the final truth. The cloud is not the sky. The cloud is a building with a lock, and someone else has the key. And one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe 10 years from now, that building could change hands, or change rules, or simply close. And when that day comes, the only question that matters is whether you kept a copy